World's End Harem has been the main talking point of a lot of controversies over the last couple of years, many of which I've covered in a previous video. Make sure to check that out. So I decided that instead of shitting on it without ever having seen it, as a man of science myself, and definitely no other ulterior motive, I went ahead and watched the anime as well as read a couple of the chapters to see if the manga varied in any way. So, the short answer, is the series bad? Yeah, it's not great. I'm not gonna lie, it's not great. Long answer, yeah, it's not great, but it did try. Let me explain. So the basic premise of the series, for those of you who don't know, is a man-killing virus has wiped out 99.99999999999 of the males on planet Earth, and at the beginning, 3 guys who are in cryosleep are reawakened to repopulate the Earth. And yes, that entitles impregnating like over 5 billion women. Sound like a shitty porno script? Well, that's because it definitely is a shitty porno script. However, that is the short of it. What I didn't say is that the wider picture is the series is a dystopian sci-fi with actually pretty convincing at times and deep lore. No spoilers here because it is discovered very early on in the story that this killer virus was actually in fact man-made, thus opening many mysteries. The series also dives into a darker tone when it's obvious that these men are just being used as, and I quote from the series, stud horses for the upper class women running the world. Also, there's this big side story of a massive class divide between these rich ruling class women and much more poverty-stricken ones. Anyway, back to our main 3 dudes. Although all 3 are pretty bland, they're unique enough from one another that you can have a half-decent insight into what potentially it would be like if you were a dude who awoke after 5 years and was told you need to start pounding for the sake of the world. So dude number 1, we'll call Mr. MC. Apparently humanity's last hope, is the biggest fucking simp going and refuses to mate with any of the beautiful ladies available. And oh boy does he have mad strong willpower. I mean, literally, he has booba being slung at him left, right and centre. And does this man's moral compass ever change at all? Does it fuck? Unfortunately for him, his waifu has also disappeared in the last 5 years. He's been unconscious. I saw an interesting comment thread that said the MC would be so much more interesting if there was more of an obvious struggle with his morals going on. Because throughout the whole story, he's being teased and, you know, he's having titties joked in his face left, right and centre. And it would have been so much more interesting for him as a character if there was more of a struggle going on there. Like he was constantly teetering the edge of, just saying fuck it all and forget his past like love interest and just doing what they want him to do and just mate with everyone he sees. But honestly, there's literally no struggle there for him. Like I say, constantly throughout the whole story, he's being teased and being proposed to by all these women to have sex with him. And he just, without hesitation, just like, no, not at all. I mean, there's not even an ounce of second thought into it. It just makes him really boring. Then we have guy number 2, however, who's an absolute fuck machine and is living his best life, it seems, and has already bedded about 100 women before Mr. MC has even awoken from cryo freeze. He is the perfect opposite to Mr. MC, and we do slowly over time see him lose his initial interest and becomes rather sadistic with the women that he sleeps with. Who would have thought it that after 100 women you would actually kind of get bored doing it 5 times a day, every day for the rest of your life. Then we get guy number 3, who's your typical little otaku bitch boy who got bullied like fuck at school, and immediately after coming out of cryo freeze does the ultimate mega chad move and bangs his teacher. Mad respect to him. As well as that, he also actively punishes the girls who bullied him by refusing to sleep with them, which in this dystopian future where only 3 guys are available, it's kind of the ultimate insult. Although the setup for this series seemed initially very interesting to me, there is absolutely no payoff. Important backstory is constantly getting interrupted by more fan service scenes, which, don't get me wrong, this series is purely fan service, but also don't tease me with a good promise of an interesting story and then keep deviating from it every other page when you begin to explain it. And then in contrast, when you are actually ready for some hot and heavy scenes, do you just get blue-balled by Mr. MC who just kills all sort of fan service the series tries to offer you? There is a continuation to the manga called World's End Harem Afterworld. I don't know if this continuation expands on lore and characters further. I would hope so. If so, then maybe we have a half-decent story on our hands. But in conclusion, the story is not great and the animated sexy bits are fine, but honestly you might as well watch hentai or High School DxD, which is basically hentai. So I mean, it's if you like trashy male fantasy harem stories, then knock yourself out. Like I said, it's not a complete dumpster fire of a series. It's just not good. Just make sure you watch the uncensored version because, as I've already mentioned in a previous video, The censored Crunchyroll version is, in my opinion, completely unwatchable in parts and is the main contributor to it being review bombed when it first came out with, and I don't even joke here, whole scenes, the whole screen is just one complete blur and you can't see anything. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I did one very similar to High Guardian Spice a while ago that did very well. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow my socials, all that good stuff if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.